how would you even go about that? We're going to look at a very simple way just to get you started. I've already gotten rid of the default cube by clicking on it and pressing the X key in return. So we're going to add, with Shift A, we're going to go ahead and add a plane, Shift A, mesh plane. And from here, we're just going to go ahead and do some extruding in order to create some ramps. So I'm going to go ahead and tab this into edit mode, and then from there begin extruding. So I'm going to go 2, press the number 2 to get the edge select, and then I'm going to extrude in the Y direction. I'm going to go EY, and I'm just going to drag out that edge, and you can see what that's done. It's just created this extension of that plane, and then I'm going to go ahead and lift it up into the Z dimension. I'm going to go GZ. I'm going to actually go G with my selection at the end. I'm going to go GZ and just lift it up. That's just going to lift it up and allow me to then move on. So I'm going to go over to the hand tool. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. With that as it is, I'm going to extrude in the Y. I'm going to go EY. I'm going to extrude out some more. Hopefully getting this pattern here. And then what I'm going to do from there is actually grab some of the other edges. I'm going to grab this edge and extrude in the X directions. So I'm going to go EX, extrude out in that direction. And then I'm going to grab the other side and go EX and extrude that away. And this is about as simple as you can get. This is just like literally one ramp from where you'd start off. And that's all we're going to do, other than to make a couple different colors here. So maybe let's go ahead and add 2 different slots on the right. If you go over to the circle on the right, add a couple material slots, and then we'll from there add a material into each of these slots by clicking the new button here. Once we have a material, we'll just add a color to it, and then we'll add a different color to a second material in just a moment. But click the new button, it'll generate a material. We're just going to change the base color by clicking on it down here. It doesn't really matter what you choose, just go ahead and pick something. If you go up to the top, you can put it in material preview or dev look or look dev. Oh, another way of doing that so you can see the materials is press the Z key. If you press the Z key and going down to where it says material preview, that's another one. I'm going to go to the other material slot and add a new material there, and I'll just give it a slightly different color. I'll just go whatever, pick a different color. And then I'm going to apply that second material maybe just to the base. I'm going to press 3 so I can select the face. And then maybe I'll hold Shift and I'll select these faces as well. And I'll leave the ramp a different color. But I selected those faces. If I select now the second material and click Assign, I can thereby get the other material set to those faces. And that's it. That's all we're going to do. We're just going to literally stop there. I'm going to tab out of edit mode, back into object mode. Then I'm going to export. That's all I'm going to do. File, export. And then we're going to choose GLTF as the export option. I'm going to call this, I already have one called ramp. I'm going to export over my other one. I'm going to call it ramp. And that's it. Once I have that, I can go ahead into a project that I have. This is an old example. I'm going to go ahead into a project though. And inside of that project, I'm going to go over here to the assets folder of that project. Now I have other assets already in there, but I'm going to add this new model in there. I'm going to get this out of the folder that I saved it in. And there it is. And I'm going to go ahead and just drag that right in there. Now I have another one that's also called that ramp. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on there and copy it, copy the URL. I'm going to use this tool right here, this Navmesh Maker tool. Paste in, hit enter. Now you can see that really simple ramp right there in the Navmesh Maker. And what we're going to do at this point is just, if we click build to start off with, we can see what it creates. It creates this kind of connection between our initial point up to the top, but it doesn't quite break off as sharp as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and change this cell size to 0.1 and click build. A little bit better. Perhaps what I'll do though, in order to make it a little bit, if I take the cell height and make it to 0.1, that affects it. If I change the maximum slope to 60, we're seeing how these things affect the build. Nothing much is changing at this point. We can see the max climb. If we took the max climb and set it up to I don't know, let's set the max climb to 2, see what that does. Pretty much the same thing. So what we can see here is with this Navmesh, it's not perfect, but we'll take it. We'll take it anyway. We'll just go ahead and export it. I can bring it back into Blender. Navmesh 21 it says. I can bring it back into Blender and just tweak it a tiny bit. So if I import that Navmesh is 21 because I've done this so many times. And I've held on to those other files. So if I go down to that particular file, Navmesh 21, we'll go ahead and edit it to make it a little bit better than it already is. It'll be okay. It just wouldn't be that great. So if I bring that Navmesh in, you can see it's fine. I may, if you're looking at it here, you can see it would be better if it was a little bit tighter to the bottom of the ramp. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to tab it into edit mode. And I'm going to add another bit of geometry on it. Actually, let me go ahead back and make sure I got the right thing in edit mode. I think I had the other one in edit mode instead. But let me get the Navmesh instead in edit mode. Tab it into edit mode. And what we're going to do is I'm going to hover over here. I'm going to go Control R. I'm going to add this ring loop. I'm going to click once. And you can see here let me just do that again. Control R. You can see what happens. It depends on where I'm at. Let me go back. So the whole idea of this Control R is to add a little bit of geometry that's not already there. You can see that geometry that's appearing as I do that. I'm going to actually undo those and go back. So what I'm deciding to do right now is to take this one line right here, this one edge, and I'm going to get rid of it, even if it causes me to lose. Yeah, like we saw right there, causes things to get a little bit weird. I would rather that. So if I go back, I had 2 edges selected. I just want this one edge selected actually. So I have face select mode. I'm going to go back to edge select mode with 2. I'm going to select just that middle edge, X. I'm just going to get that one edge away. Now, what I need to do is realize that has like extra edges. So I'm going to press X, get rid of that edge as well. Now, to make this work, I'm going to select these edges over here. Press F for fill. And then I'm going to go Control R, Enter, or Return, and just drag down. And then I'm going to grab and pull that down. Just go G, Z, and look what happens. It's just going to tuck that in really nicely. Exactly what we're looking for. That's the effect that we want. We want that nav mesh right up against there. And then that's pretty much it. We'll tab it in the object mode. And then we export that as our nav mesh. So there you have it. If you don't get the nav mesh of your dreams when you're making it initially, then you go ahead and you can edit it in Blender to get that nav mesh of your dreams.